If you walk down 57th Street tonight and look up, you'll notice something strange. The most expensive apartments in human history, towers of glass and steel that pierce the clouds, are almost entirely dark. No lights. No movement. No life. This is Billionaires Row, the crown jewel of New York real estate. Yet it often looks like a ghost town. But don't be fooled. The ultra-wealthy haven't left New York. They've just changed how they live. From a paparazzi-proof fortress in Tribeca to a $238 million safe deposit box in the sky. And the hidden townhouses of the West Village where Hollywood royalty sleeps. We're tracking down exactly where the 1% of the 1% actually reside in 2025. When we talk about wealth in New York, all roads lead to one address. 220 Central Park South. This isn't just a building, it's a bank vault with a view. In a city full of glass towers, this limestone fortress was designed to look like it's been there for decades. But inside, it is the most profitable condominium ever built. This is where hedge fund tycoon Ken Griffin shattered U.S. real estate records by paying $238 million for the quadruple-story penthouse. But he's not alone. The building is a who's who of global power, housing everyone from music legend Sting to billionaire financier Dan Ock. In 2025, even smaller units here are trading for over $80 million. Why? Because unlike its competitors, 220 Central Park South offers total anonymity. A private motor court allows residents to drive directly into the building, unseen by the public eye. Just blocks away stands the most terrifyingly slender building in the Western Hemisphere, 111 West 57th Street, also known as the Steinway Tower. It is a marvel of engineering and ego. The building is so thin, with a width of only 60 feet, that it requires an 800-ton tuned mass damper at the top to stop it from swaying too violently in the wind. Living here feels less like an apartment and more like hovering in a private jet. In 2025, buyers are still paying over $20 million for full-floor residences that offer perfect symmetry with Central Park. But it's not for the faint of heart. The physics of living this high up in something this thin means you are literally at the mercy of the elements, enclosed in terracotta and bronze grandeur that pays homage to old New York, while defying gravity. If 111 West 57th is the skinniest, Central Park Tower is simply the tallest residential building on Earth. Rising 1,550 feet above the street, it looks down on the Empire State Building. But the real story here isn't the height. It's the lifestyle. The developers realized that to sell apartments this expensive, you need more than a view. You need a private society. The building features the Central Park Club, a private country club spread across 3 floors, including the 100th floor. Imagine dining in a private ballroom, swimming in an outdoor pool, or smoking a cigar in a lounge that sits higher than the news helicopters. It is the ultimate flex. Living in the clouds, completely detached from the grit of the city below. While the new money buys glass towers, the old guard still rules the Upper East Side, and their castle is 740 Park Avenue. This is the building that rejected Barbra Streisand, and where Jackie Kennedy grew up. It is a co-op, which means you don't just buy an apartment, you buy shares in a corporation. And the neighbors decide if you're good enough to join. The board here is legendary for its ruthlessness, demanding full financial transparency and social standing. For decades, this was the undisputed address of power, home to Blackstone's Steve Schwarzman. In a shocking 2025 twist, Ken Griffin, the same man who owns the penthouse at 220 Central Park South, bought Julia Koch's unit here for $45 million. It seems even the new kings of finance crave the approval of the old aristocracy. Let's leave the suits in Midtown and head downtown to Tribeca, specifically 443 Greenwich Street. If you want to find Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Jennifer Lawrence, or Justin Timberlake, this is where you look. This building was formerly a 19th century bookbindery, but today it is known as the paparazzi-proof building. The developers understood that for A-list celebrities, privacy is the ultimate amenity. They built a subterranean garage with double-gated security that allows stars to drive in and take a private elevator directly to their penthouse without ever stepping on a public sidewalk. The center of the building features a massive landscaped courtyard that is completely invisible from the street. It is a celebrity dormitory where Hollywood's elite can live a normal life, shielded by thick brick walls and military-grade security. Even among billionaires, Jeff Bezos operates on a different level. He didn't just buy an apartment, he's trying to buy the whole building. At 212 Fifth Avenue, overlooking Madison Square Park, the Amazon founder has spent over $119 million acquiring the penthouse and the several units directly below it to create a massive multi-story mega mansion in the sky. The lengths he goes to are legendary. In 2025, stories still circulate about how he shut down Fifth Avenue just to crane a custom sofa through the window because it wouldn't fit in the elevator. This is a trend among the hyper-wealthy, creating a vertical compound. Why buy a house when you can just keep buying the floors under you until you own your own kingdom? For those who find doormen and elevators too public, the ultimate luxury is the West Village Townhouse. But a single townhouse is no longer enough. The new status symbol is the combo, buying 2 or 3 adjacent historic homes and gutting them to create a suburban-sized mansion in the heart of the city. Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick spent years and over $34 million creating their dream home on West 11th Street, turning 2 brownstones into one 14,000 square foot palace. This block is now considered the most celebrity-dense street in New York. These homes offer something the skyscrapers can't: a backyard, a front stoop, and the illusion of a quiet neighborhood life. Even if that life costs $50 million and requires a 24-hour private security detail parked outside. We need to address the elephant in the room: the ghost towers. If you look at 57th Street at night, you'll see entire swaths of the skyline are pitch black. This is because a huge percentage of these units are not homes. They are assets. For a billionaire in Shanghai, London, or Moscow, a $50 million apartment in New York is safer than gold and easier to maintain than a yacht. They are safety deposit boxes in the sky. Some owners spend less than 2 weeks a year here. Others never visit at all. In 2025, despite taxes on non-primary residents, this phenomenon hasn't stopped. These buildings are designed to be empty, functioning more like high-altitude bank vaults than residential communities. To attract buyers to these ghost towers, developers have launched an amenities arms race that has spiraled out of control. It's no longer enough to have a gym and a doorman. Today's buildings feature private restaurants run by Michelin-starred chefs like Jean-Georges, available only to residents. They have 75-foot lap pools, Formula One racing simulators, robotic valets, and temperature-controlled wine cellars that can hold thousands of bottles. At 15 Hudson Yards, the rooftop terrace sits 900 feet in the air. The goal is to ensure that a resident never actually has to leave the building for anything. You can work, eat, exercise, and socialize without ever stepping foot on a public sidewalk. It is a hermetically sealed biosphere for the super rich. While Midtown is for finance and Tribeca is for movie stars, SoHo is for the fashion and tech elite. In 2025, SoHo has reclaimed its title as one of the most expensive neighborhoods by median price, often surpassing even the Upper East Side. The draw here is the cast iron architecture. Massive, open floor plans with 14-foot ceilings that used to be factories. Today, these are $10 million lofts owned by supermodels and tech moguls. Unlike the uptown co-ops, these buildings often have fewer rules, appealing to a younger, cooler demographic who wants to be in the middle of the action. But don't let the cobblestone streets fool you. Behind those gritty industrial doors are interiors that rival the Palace of Versailles. The wealthy aren't just in Manhattan anymore. The Brooklyn Gold Rush has created pockets of extreme wealth across the river. The clock tower penthouse in Dumbo, with its 4 massive glass clocks as windows, set the tone years ago. But now, the quiet brownstone streets of Cobble Hill and Carroll Gardens are the new frontier. This is where you find stars like Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz, who traded the chaos of Manhattan for entire townhouses that offer anonymity. In 2025, a pristine brownstone in these neighborhoods can easily fetch $15 million. It's the anti-luxury luxury aesthetic, wearing a $500 t-shirt to buy organic coffee. Living in a house that looks modest from the outside, but is technologically perfect on the inside. On the far west side lies Hudson Yards, the largest private real estate development in US history. It was built from scratch over a rail yard to be the New York of the future. For a while, it struggled to find its soul, but in 2025, it has found its niche. International wealth that wants brand new everything. 15 Hudson Yards and its neighbors offer conveniences that old buildings can't match. Massive driveways, direct mall access, and helicopter transfers. It is a polarizing place. Some call it a shopping mall for billionaires, devoid of real New York character. But for a global buyer who wants a turnkey 5-star hotel experience with zero maintenance, this is the default choice. There is a silent war happening in New York real estate. The co-op versus the condo. Old money loves co-ops like 740 Park because they can legally discriminate. They can reject a buyer for almost any reason, keeping their circles tight and classy. New money hates this. They want condos like 220 Central Park South because they can buy them through an anonymous LLC. In 2025, the condo is winning. The world's wealthiest people value privacy and freedom over the prestige of an old name. They don't want a board of neighbors telling them they can't renovate their kitchen in the summer. This shift has forced even historic co-ops to loosen their rules or risk becoming irrelevant museums of fading wealth. If you look at the property records for these $50 million sales, you won't see names like Bezos or Griffin. You will see things like Blue Sky LLC or 740 Park Trust. In 2025, privacy is the most expensive commodity of all. The ultra-wealthy are using layers of shell companies, lawyers, and non-disclosure agreements to buy these homes. Real estate agents are forced to sign contracts that forbid them from ever speaking the client's name. This is why we often don't know who lives in a penthouse until years later, or until they try to sell it. The goal is to be a ghost, to own the city, but to leave no footprints. To understand where New York's wealthy live, you have to realize that for many, New York City is just a commuter hub. The true home is often a beachfront estate in the Hamptons. In 2025, the commute has been perfected. They take a blade, a helicopter, from the West 30th Street heliport to East Hampton in 35 minutes, bypassing the traffic entirely. The cycle is rigid: Tuesday to Thursday in the city penthouse, Friday to Monday at the beach estate. This bi-coastal lifestyle within one state drives the market. The city apartment doesn't need a backyard because the Hamptons house has 3 acres. The two properties are symbiotic, two halves of one incredibly expensive whole. So is the era of the New York billionaire over? Far from it. In 2025, the city is home to over 380,000 millionaires and 60 billionaires, more than any other city on the planet. Despite taxes, crime headlines, and the rise of Miami, the world's elite cannot quit New York. They are just moving higher up, into thinner towers and behind thicker walls. The geography of wealth has shifted from the open grandeur of Park Avenue to the hidden, fortified enclaves of Tribeca and the clouds of 57th Street. They are still here, watching the city from behind tinted glass, living in a New York that most of us can only see if we look all the way up. New York City has always been a tale of two cities. But in 2025, the divide is vertical. The wealthiest residents have built their own city above the city. A network of penthouses, private clubs, and helicopter routes that never touch the ground. Whether it's the limestone vaults of Central Park South or the cast iron fortresses of SoHo, these homes are monuments to the enduring power of this island. They are proof that in the capital of the world, space, silence, and privacy are the ultimate luxuries, and they are worth any price.